Adele is a community-based project funding platform. Community members can put their money where their mouth is and help fund new blockchain technology, and then become stakeholders in those projects. I had a great conversation with Gabriel from the team to get the details about how this all works. Well, thanks for being here today, Gabriel. We're here to talk about Adele. I'm hoping you can give me kind of the 2 to 3 sentence elevator pitch about what problem Adele is trying to solve.
So what we're doing in Adele is we created a blockchain incubator for startups, for starting blockchain innovation in a community-based model. We thought that this was a great model for the blockchain space, because in the blockchain space there's a lot of community-based collaboration and there's a lot of innovation. So we wanted to bring social media to the blockchain in a venture capital type of an environment, to have everybody collaborate on business plans, on ideas, and create projects. And then once the projects are accepted by the community, then to have those community members vote on them to choose which ones they want to move into an executed project, and then invest in them as well as an equity investor. So we have launched basically a two-parter in launching Adele. The first part is introducing a digital currency, which is the ADL coin. And then right now we're in the second phase, which is introducing a ADS, which is an Adele share. And that'll require a separate legal entity and a separate license in order to facilitate the equity ownership of projects. So that's still pending right now, but we needed to separate the launch of Adele into these two phases in order to be legally compliant.
Okay, great. Yeah. So walk me through the process of getting a project onto the Adele platform to even be voted on. Can anyone just submit a project, and are all submissions stored in the blockchain?
So what we're doing is we've set up a model in our initial coin offering, which is now finished. It ran in the May timeframe, from May 1st to May 31st, that anybody participated in the ICO, if from 1 Bitcoin, then they would be automatically of the Adele community. So we had 590 participants of the Adele ICO, and of that 126 or so are now members. And those 126 can then participate in the community. They can submit ideas. If they submit an idea, they become an innovator. And then through that, we create a marketing document, which is basically formulation of that idea into 3 or 4 pages, which is similar to what we have on our website for the 3 projects that we've listed so far. And then those will then funnel down into the business planning, and we want to basically wiki the business planning we want to wiki basically the business planning portion of the community, and we're also going to wiki the creation of the marketing documentation in the idea phase. So we call this an idea to project supply chain, and it's basically a funnel of ideas that turn into business plans, and business plans that turn into actual projects. And the community then decides at some point during the creation of this business plan, they decide whether they want to vote on that project, and then we would decide through the community decision, a majority decision, whether they want to proceed with activating that project, and then creating the Adele share in order to invest into that. So we have 126 members, and after the ICO, which is now, we're going to be on the exchanges. We're on the Next Asset Exchange right now, which is currently trading. We will also be on several other exchanges like CryptoDAO, Bittrex is on the radar, CSEX is another one, and a few others that we're planning to post on. And after the ICO, the minimum required to join our community is 2 Bitcoins. So it doubles. And of course, Bitcoin is getting expensive. So, but we wanted to make sure that the membership is exclusive. And because there's sensitive information within the community, we wanted to make sure that we maintain that sensitive information in a closed, exclusive membership.
Yeah, that's a really great point. One of the first questions I had was, you know, how is this, during development of these projects, how is the intellectual property dealt with? Is that completely open on the blockchain, or does that kind of stay within the community during the development process?
Well, the intellectual property will have a certain level of confidentiality. And that confidentiality, of course, is to protect the stakeholders, to protect the members, and to protect the innovator that basically brings the idea. So some information will be transparent through the business planning initiative, but we also realize that there may be a necessity to keep some of that information secret, because we anticipate, because of the openness and the transparency, even within the community, that there'll maybe some people that only join the community to steal ideas, right? So, you know, this is just the practicality of running a community-based model. So we realize that in order to mitigate that risk, and in any security environment, you're not eliminating risk, you're mitigating it. And so we're mitigating the risk by just basically making sure that if there's something very specific in terms of the creation of that project that needs to be kept secret in order to protect everybody, then we would exercise that right.
Okay, great. And so, you know, in a typical incubator scenario, you know, the incubator would take a little cut of the company, the original co-founders would retain a little bit of the company, and everyone that invested would retain a bit of the company. It sounds like you're following a similar model with, you know, down the road, coming up with the Adele shares. Could you explain a little bit how the mechanisms of that ownership work as well?
So in the ownership model, Adele is going to keep 30% of the projects. So in any equity ownership of projects that become executed, the Adele ecosystem, or the second entity that we will be creating, would be the owner of that project, 30% of it. The innovator would choose a specific percentage of ownership. So, you know, whatever they want. And of course, that percentage of ownership of the innovator is contingent on the members voting whether they're happy with that percentage. So if an innovator says, well, of the remaining part, I want 90% ownership, then, and the community says, well, we're voting no to this project, then all that effort has been lost, right? But if there's a reasonable percentage, we're not really sure what that percentage is going to be, but if there's a reasonable percentage, then and the voting goes through, then what would happen is, let's say we call that ownership X% of the innovator. So it would be 70% minus X would go to the remaining community members. And equity ownership is only going to be possible for members. And anybody that has below 1 Bitcoin right now can actually top up to over 2 Bitcoin through the exchanges. And then when we see in their NXT wallet that they have over 2 Bitcoin in equivalent of Adele coins, Adelphoi coins, then they would automatically get their modules activated in the community portal and then become a member. If they then fall below that 2 Bitcoin, or current members, if they fall below the 1 Bitcoin, then they will have a chance to top up to over the minimum in order to stay a member. And so the membership part is important for equity ownership in the future.
Yeah, and is the membership and the ownership, is that all being maintained with smart contracts?
Well, we are not institutionalizing the smart contract at the moment. Like, obviously, a smart contract is a very interesting technology in order to facilitate various different aspects of equity ownership. We need to still look into that, whether it's a feasible mechanism, and maybe partially feasible. We want to also launch Ethereum projects, which are very big on smart contracts, in smart contracts, and we want to utilize that technology if it is beneficial to the projects that we're creating. So, but we're not committing to at this stage that we're doing it systematically, for example.
Okay. In that case, can you talk a little bit about the team you guys have behind this?
Right. So what we have is over 26 members of the team right now. We have legal counsel in London and in the Czech Republic, where the board members are based. We have marketing in London as well, also in Czech Republic for graphics design. We also have a graphic designer in Kiev. We have copy editor in Toronto. We have a marketing lady working for us out of Austin, Texas. We also have another marketing person in Kiev, and we have developers in Ljubljana and Macedonia. And what else? We have NXT blockchain experts throughout the world. We have one in the Arctic Circle at the moment in Svalbard, and another one in Germany, and two of them in Spain. I can go on and on. We have literally a decentralized team that we communicate through Slack, various channels in Slack, and also through Skype when we have all hands meetings. And it's a lot of fun. It's great working with a decentralized team. I think in a certain capacity, it's going to work well for a lot of companies to work in a decentralized manner. And we're kind of setting up a test bed for that. We believe a lot of the projects will also run in a decentralized manner as well. It's not, of course, going to replace brick and mortar and traditional companies, but we believe it's going to fit well, in the future of how organizations function. And for us, it's going great. We've been running Adel for 18 months, building up to our ICO, and it's worked out very, very well for us. This type of organization, decentralized organization.
Great. So your ICO just ended. You mentioned the Adel shares, but could you give us a little bit more about what's on the roadmap for you guys for the next 6 to 18 months?
So we have a 3-phase roadmap. The first phase is finished, which is the first ICO. We're right in the middle of the second phase, which began June 1st. And the second phase is building the legal entity for the equity ownership of future projects. So because we're going to be creating a equity share in projects, we are still strategizing on what type of legal entity and what type of license will be required in order to facilitate that. Because the ADS, the Adel share, will be the token that we're using in order to have members buy the ADS with their ADL. Okay, so they're using their coin to buy the token. And I know that there's kind of a general use of the word token as a cryptocurrency. What we're doing in marketing is we're calling the ADL, the Adelphoi, as a coin. Because it's a digital currency, and the ADS will be a token, which for us is going to be an equity share. So that's going to be part of our roadmap, basically moving forward. And we're working with legal counsel and various investment strategists in order to facilitate that. We're also immediately working on getting on the exchanges that I mentioned, and that is in the interim, the short term. Our goal right now, we're right in the middle of issuing coins to everybody. So we've issued coins to around a third of the stakeholders in the ICO. And by the way, I'm not sure if you also have covered this, but we are the first KYC, AML, CTF compliant ICO in the world, right? So, and that is know your customer, anti-money laundering, and counter terrorism financing ICO in the world. And we believe this is really the future of many ICOs, because if we're going to be creating an investment vehicle, we need to make sure that we're legally compliant and we're doing it properly. And it basically locked out a lot of people that didn't want to be, they wanted to maintain their anonymity, right? They didn't want to be identified. So But even though that part of the market was locked out, we still raised over €1 million, or around $1.2 million American dollars in our ICO, which we believe was a good success. And now that we're getting onto the exchanges, then a lot of participants that weren't able to join, such as the Americans actually weren't able to join our ICO because we didn't have the license in America to have the Americans join. But now they can buy our coin on the exchanges, and people that wanted to be anonymous and not go through our KYC checks can also now participate in purchasing our coin on the exchanges, because we can't control who buys our coin on the exchanges. So we, in the first day, have already noticed a quadrupling of the value of our coin in the first 24 hours. And we're not even on the 4 exchanges that we need to be on in the next 2 weeks. And we've already quadrupled the value of our coin. But who knows where it's going to settle. But we started at around 7 euro cents, which is, I keep talking in euros, so I apologize to the American audience.
That's okay.
But so about, let's say 8 cents American, that we're around 35 to 38 cents right now American. We might even hit $1. So we'll see how things go once everybody starts to get their coins, starts to trade, and see what the trading value turns out to be. So, like I said, we have a 6-month roadmap to get onto to get the license and the legal entity for our second phase. We're also going to be moving to the Ardor platform in the next 6 months to 8 months. White paper number 10 basically talks about our roadmap. So you can see in white paper 10 how we're going to be laying out that whole second phase initiative. And the other thing that people don't realize is we have 2 more ICOs ahead of us. We're issuing 33 million of our 100 million Adelphoi coins to raise funds for this incubator for blockchain innovation. And for us, it's about burning 2 ends of a candle, in terms of one side of the candle is using the funds to fund projects, and the other side of the candle will be using funds to run the Adel ecosystem, the staff and the marketing and the development, the research and development, and so on. And as we start to burn the candle, then we realize, okay, let's go for the second ICO now to raise more funds. And we had participants saying, look, what, you guys don't have a maximum. That's a bad thing. You should have had a maximum. And for us, it's like, well, why would a maximum be valid in our case? Because we're trying to build an incubator for blockchain innovation. So if we have money for 10 projects, that's great. If we have money for 40 projects, that's even better. If we have money for 100 projects, that's even better, right? So it diversifies everybody's portfolio into like multiple different projects. It also it also is a risk management strategy, like any fund management strategy, to make sure that all the projects together are successful. Some won't be and some will be, but you want the whole pool of projects to rise, and that's what the diversification is. So in terms of having a maximum, we didn't need a maximum. So we can raise more funds next year on a second ICO. We can run more projects on a third ICO in fundraising, and those 2 ICOs will be based on whatever the value of the Adel coin is at that time. So who knows what it's going to be in 1 year? Everybody that and if it's quadrupled in value in 24 hours, who knows what will happen in the future? But we're on a good path.
Check out adelphoi.io for more information on this project. From there, you can find them on Slack, Reddit, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere. While you're here on this channel, check out some more interviews I've had regarding entrepreneurship and the blockchain and the cryptocurrency world. Have a good day.